Kick off. Yeah, thanks everybody for introducing yourselves in the chat. It's great to see we have some newcomers, some old comers. Some of us have been here right from the start in I think 2021, right when we kicked off this task force, and now we're up to number 14, the 14th meeting of the task force. Yeah, maybe we naturally just Oh, look, we're over 40, Elena. Okay, let's start. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Fred, you've been with us right from the start. Nice to see you again. Yeah, welcome everybody. It's our task force meeting of the monitoring task force for the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, and we started, as I said, this task force 5 years ago. And it's a really important year for the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration because it marks the midpoint. And in terms of monitoring and data and tracking progress, it's a year where we'll do a lot of stock taking on progress, right? Progress of global efforts to restore ecosystems. So we have a pretty packed agenda. We really want to provide some critical updates because I think it's been actually almost 6 months since the last task force meeting, right? And a lot has happened. Most recently, actually, a lot of exciting movement over the last week, actually. Now we're up to 123 seventh national reports to the CBD for targets of the Global Biodiversity Framework. And we're really happy that actually almost 50% of those have a quantitative target for target 2, the headline indicator for restoration. So we want to provide some updates. We want to hear from our partners in the regional centres that are helping us with capacity development and have really actually help countries, I think, report for this 7th national report, which, as I just said, exciting progress. Many countries. This is the first report for the Global Biodiversity Framework. And it's great that 123 countries have submitted quantitative targets, right? Quantitative results against their targets, which they submitted in their MBSAPs. So what do we have? Okay, target 2 roadmap will provide some updates. Yelena will give us a bit of an update on that. Also, we have a lot of engagement opportunities, and we've also been really fortunate to be able to support this work through to the end of 2030 now. So a really nice window for sort of supporting countries, for supporting restoration monitoring, both for the Global Biodiversity Framework, for the UN Decade and beyond at different scales from local to national to global. Then we'll hear from Alicia and really the special guests are the regional centres. So many of you know that the CBD has designated technical and scientific support centres, and we were really fortunate to be able to work with 3 quite deeply in the last 3 or 4 months. And we'll hear from them on how they've supported countries on target 2 and how they continue to support countries in restoration monitoring reporting. So we'll pause after the target 2 updates that has a bit of a CBD focus for some questions and discussions, and then we'll switch to Jo, who's going to provide some updates on the framework for ecosystem restoration monitoring, which we launched 5 years ago and is evolving, and we designed through this task force, and we hope is fit for purpose. We're increasingly improving it, and we're linking it to the CBD's online reporting tool. So really helping countries have the latest data from different sources on restoration. Then we'll hear from Ashley. You know, the challenge for target 2 is that it covers all ecosystems, right? And some ecosystems, they need additional attention for target 2 monitoring reporting. And Ashley's been leading a Freshwater Working Group. So we'll hear some updates on that. We'll hear from Alicia and some of the activities on behalf of other colleagues at FAO on Indigenous peoples monitoring. So there's a specific working group on that in target 2, and it's a really important area, and we'd like to invite you all to contribute. And then we really want to open the floor because it's a pretty exciting moment for the community, having just. You can go online, actually. We should put a link in the chat to the online reporting tool where you can actually go and see the 123 7th national reports and see what your country has submitted also for target 2, see what their restoration target or their restoration report is, how it looks like, and whether we can find ways to improve it, find ways to support it to continually improve those reports. So without further ado, I'll pass to Yelena. So over to Yelena to get us off to a great start. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Julian. And good morning, afternoon, evening to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at this task force meeting. So I think I'll be quick with my updates. We want to make sure we have time today to also hear from all of you. So, and just a reminder for everyone to introduce themselves in the chat. And let's look at a bit of a status update for the task force. We have now over 600 people, 600 technical experts from over 100 organizations on the task force list. So all of these members are invited, and all the communication goes out to these members. We've had some restructuring a bit lately for the task force on monitoring. For those of you that might have not participated in the last few meetings, we have what we call the Target 2 roadmap now. And this includes the task force on monitoring, but we've added a structure to have working groups, which those are previously kind of the sub task forces of the monitoring task force. So now we have 4 themes for these working groups, and we'll be hearing updates this meeting from the working groups. And in the Target 2 roadmap, we also have a leads group. This is composed of the leads of the UN Decade, FAO, and UNEP, the Rio Conventions, and Ramsar. So, kind of to speak at a higher level about synergies across the conventions and reporting and other key partners, such as the Society for Ecological Restoration. Yes, so we'll hear an update, and I'll be providing some updates as well for these working groups. Then we had a really nice acknowledgement of our work in by the CBD in the subsidiary body for implementation, SBI 6, which was held just a few weeks ago in Rome. This was a technical meeting of the CBD, and there was an information note detailing the support under the Task Force on Monitoring and the Target 2 roadmap. So we'll be sharing the presentation and these links so you can then take a look at this information note that was published by the CBD. We also have a short little technical note about with more information about this Target 2 roadmap. So we'll be sharing the link to that as well. And then just to let you know, the working groups that are active are the freshwater group or inland water group. We'll be hearing from Ashley about that. The marine and coastal group, I'll provide a brief update on behalf of my marine colleagues that weren't able to join us. And the working group on national and regional capacity development that engages the technical support centers, and the Indigenous Peoples Restoration Monitoring Group. The ones that are not, can we go back to the previous slide? Sorry. Thank you, Temi. The ones that are not so active yet, but they are active, but more in a bilateral sense, less in an organized way, are the terrestrial working group and the data and FERM working group. But you'll be hearing updates that are very relevant to these aspects. And if you would like to join any of these working groups, please do reach out. You can reach out to myself, basically anyone that's presenting in this call today. Thanks. We can go to the next slide. So as Julian mentioned, it's a really exciting time because just last week, 123 countries have submitted their seventh national reports to the CBD. And the seventh national reports is the first global mechanism for comprehensive reporting on restoration across all ecosystems. So this is big. For the first time, we have information on restoration kind of at scale reported by countries to a UN convention. And 45% of countries that submitted their reports have provided data on restoration. And of those 45%, 20% have disaggregated that information by ecosystems. So now we are going through that data. I have a few colleagues that are really in looking into that data in depth, and the final data will be reported in we're supporting the CBD for their global report, and we're working on a UN Decade Restoration Progress Report that will really show how much has been achieved in terms of restoration and what are the gaps, what are the needs, what are the challenges. And we also invite colleagues to contribute to that report. So let us know if you're interested. We can go to the next slide. Sorry, Nacy, there are some people in the waiting room. If somebody, I think Tammy and Alice, you also have the co-host, if you can help watch the meeting room so everyone gets into the meeting. Then some additional data that has been recently reported, a bit less recent than last week, but at the end of last year, the Global Forest Resource Assessment was published. These are reports by countries on their national forest resources. And for the first time, the FRA included a question on forest restoration. And so countries have also reported on forest restoration. We have 91 countries that have reported on the restoration targets, while 70 have reported on restoration that is in progress. And you can see here also the regional distribution for some of those restoration commitments and targets. So we have some exciting new data that has come online in just in the last few days, weeks, months. You can go to the next slide. And in support of reporting, there is now an update on the reporting guidance. This is in the metadata for Target 2. There'll be a new version of the metadata that will be submitted to the SUBSA, the subsidiary body. I think, is it the technical and scientific body of the CBD? And we welcome your updates for that as well. You can email myself and Jewel to get an updated version, the advanced version of the metadata. We welcome your feedback, and you can see the version that's online now at the GBF indicators website. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so shifting from the global updates now to a quick update on one of the working groups. Speaking for my marine colleagues, for the Marine and Coastal Working Group, they have met once so far, and the second meeting is coming up next week. And this working group, their focus is on now completing a short guide, a short brochure with reporting guidance, and they would like to complete this draft in the next few months by mid-2026. And I think we can go to the next slide. And I think that wraps it up for my presentation. So thank you so much. Back to you, Julian.
Thanks so much, Elena. Yeah, Elena, should we pause for questions or should we move through this round of presentations and then pause? What do you think?
Good question. Do we have questions in the chat? I haven't been monitoring.
No, everybody's introducing themselves, which is really nice. And we've been providing lots of links. So yeah, but colleagues, please raise your hand if you want to jump in at any point. Exactly. Or drop your questions in the chat or however you prefer. Hey,
Hi,
good morning,
Anita.
Anita. Please.
Hello, hello.
Hey, great to see
Thank
you.
you.
Please.
Thank you for the amazing updates. I'm not sure if it's the right time, but I will ask the question and then you let me know if it's the right time to answer. But it was very good to see the slide on the national reports status. If you could comment, what does it mean? Like, is the deadline over? Can this still improve? In our side, what is the next step that we should be helping to influence this space? I think it would be very strategic for us to understand where we are with all this process. Thank you.
Thanks for breaking the ice, Anita, and great question. Maybe Elena, I think the deadline was like imminent, right? So these are probably the reports we're going to get. But Elena, you know better than me.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Julian, and thanks so much, Anita. Very nice to see you. I'm not sure if we have anyone from the CBD here. I think they would be really best placed to answer this question, but I'll do my best. Um, so the deadline, the official deadline for the reporting was the 28th of February. So the deadline has passed. The CBD had kind of as I understood, an informal extension to that deadline, which was 1 week. So let's say the cutoff, the deadline has passed now. So now we're focusing on analyzing this data in terms of support to countries. I have to say it's not so clear to me now what I know I've heard from some countries they're planning on then kind of publishing the reports in a more formal manner. But yeah, it's not exactly clear then what comes next from the country's side. I know from our side we're working on really crunching the numbers.
Yeah, but yeah, great observation, Anita. I mean, I'd also recommend have a look at the online reporting tool. We provided the link because in there you can access all the reports, and it's not. I mean, you can definitely look at particular countries and look at what the submission is, and yeah, it'd be great to hear reactions from people on whether there's room for improvement, right, on some reports, because I think um, naturally, this is the first time, right, for the GBF that there's a progress report. So I'm sure there's going to be room for improvement. But there's great momentum. I think at the start there was only like 3 people submitted or 3 countries, right? So it's great now that we have a critical mass. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I can just add, Julian, what you said just it reminded me that are working on analyzing the the comments that the countries are leaving as well in the reports in terms and assessing what are the gaps and needs that are mentioned, and also some of the gaps in terms of reporting because we see the numbers are or the data isn't always reported in a consistent way across all countries. So yeah, just highlighting some of the challenges in terms of reporting is one of our objectives for these reports that we're working on this year.
Thanks so much, Elena, Anita. Well, let's keep moving. Now it relates very much to the reports because we did a really intensive capacity development effort over the last 4 months with the regional centres, and we're going to hear more about that. So I think I hand over to Alicia to take this presentation along with the regional centres.
Great.
Alicia.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, very clear. Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening. My name is Alice Cravani, and I work at FEO as program management specialist, and also to coordinate the Target 2 roadmap. So I just wanted to provide you with a very quick overview before we give the floor to our the representatives from the centers. An overview of our collaboration with the CBD sub-regional support centers, and just to provide you some context. So last May, FAO with CBD, we launched this regional support development program to really kick off a collaboration with these centers. And as Julia was saying, these centers have been selected through the CBD process to really implement the KM-GBF. And the structure is that they basically, each of these centers operate in a specific sub-region, and so they provide technical support to their constituent countries. And here at FAO, we already started to collaborate with 3 centers who we are joining today's call. So the Asian Biodiversity Center from the Philippines, the Humboldt Institute, which is based in Colombia, and the Regional Center for Mapping Resources for Development based in Kenya. And we're also planning more agreements with other centers from the various regions, as this slide shows. And so this program is an important component of the Target 2 roadmap, and is funded by the UK through the Aim4Nature program, also from the Korea Forest Service through the FERI program. And it really aims to fast track restoration efforts and contribute to transparent reporting. And the important added value of this of the sub-regional centers is their local expertise and the proximity to the respective constituent countries, and that has really been demonstrated with the key role played in facilitating and organizing the sub-regional workshops, as we will hear very shortly from them. So just in terms of their role and the activities, is really to facilitate interaction with the constituent countries, so identifying countries' needs, restoration monitoring and reporting, and also using surveys or tools like the Target 2 self-assessment tool, and also to provide technical support to these countries through help desks and ad hoc support to basically gather and address specific questions, and then organize trainings, webinars, and workshops to address the needs identified. And then the other activities really to generate and disseminate knowledge on regional trends and country progress through case studies and lessons learned, and to actively participate in the working group 3 of the Target 2 roadmap, which is on national and regional capacity development. So really focus on promoting cross-regional learning, bringing together the work of all these centers. I think I just pass it back to you, Julian, before we hear directly from the centers.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, our first special guest, Mr. Kit Elleran from Asian Biodiversity Centre. I was privileged enough to join you in this very nice sub-regional workshop. And over to you, Kit, to give us an update from ACB. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Julian, and thank you, Alice. So hello, everyone. Let me provide you with the key updates from the ASEAN Centre for Biodiversity and FAO-FERM collaboration, specifically focusing on our activities related to the implementation of Target 2 of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, or KM-GBF, for the Task Force on Monitoring. Now, let's begin by reviewing our recent sub-regional dialogue on biodiversity monitoring and reporting. This event was centered with a focus on ecosystems restoration, specifically Target 2 of the KM-GBF. It was co-organized with FAO and SCBD and held from September 2 to 5, 2025 in Bangkok, Thailand. Our primary aim was to assist parties to effectively monitor and report on the implementation of the KM-GBF Target 2 for the 7th National Reporting to the CBD. We had a highly collaborative turnout with around more than 75 participants from 9 ACB constituent countries, major groups including IPs, women and youth, Jordan partner organizers, and restoration partners. Next slide, please. A central component of this reporting effort relies on the Framework for Ecosystems Restoration Monitoring, or FERM. This is the official framework for operational monitoring of global restoration progress and disseminating good practices for the UN decade and reporting areas under restoration towards Target 2 of the KM-GBF. The firm provides several critical features. One is it includes a registry of restoration initiatives and their good practices covering all ecosystems. It utilizes a geospatial tool to visualize restoration data. It features a search engine that shares good practices and initiatives on ecosystems restoration, and it incorporates a dashboard that provides analytics on the compiled restoration data. To ensure our partners can utilize this tool effectively, we announced the creation of Target 2 Help Desk. This is a dedicated email-based support service created to provide tailored guidance to CBD national focal points and authorized representatives on using the FERM tool and meeting Target 2 reporting requirements. The help desk was launched during the ASEAN Heritage Parks Conference. It was a HP8 side event in Halong Bay, Vietnam, last December 2025. And for inquiries, you can reach out to the email provided here, the ACB T2 Help Desk, and at ASEANBiodiversity.org. Next slide, please. To further build capacity, we recently executed the Conduct of Target 2 webinar series. And this is the overall summary of webinar participants from session 1, 2, and 3. Next slide, please. Under the session 1, it was held last January 21, 2026, covered monitoring and reporting of the Target 2, understanding the headline indicator in the reporting template. So we had 23 participants from the ASEAN region attended alongside ACB staff and Target 2 partners. Attendees include national focal points, official member of ASEAN Working Group on Nature, Conservation, and Biodiversity, or the AWG-NCB representatives assigned by NFP and AWG-NCB and other organizations involved in Target 2 monitoring and reporting from the ASEAN region. Session 1 outputs and materials was shared to the participants through email and mainstreaming Mondays, or #MM. And the session was also recorded and also posted in ACB YouTube channel. Next slide, please. Under the session 2, it was held last February 10 this year, focused on using application programming interface, or the API, to upload national databases to the FERM. There are around 100 participants from the ASEAN and African region attended alongside ACB staff and Target 2 partners. We engaged different organizations from the government and non-government or private sector, academe and research institutions, other regional international organizations. Session 2 outputs and materials was shared to the participants through email as well, and mainstreaming Mondays, #MM. And then the session recording was also posted in ACB YouTube channel. Next slide, please. Lastly, for the session 3, this was held last February 25. We tackled the FERM data review and linkage to the CBD's online reporting tool. 116 participants from the ASEAN, Asian, African, and European regions attended alongside ACB staff and Target 2 partners. Similar to session 2, attendees spanned different organizations from the government and non-government or private sectors, academe and research institutions, other regional international organizations, and the output of the session 3 and materials were shared to the participants through email as well. Next slide, please. The participants' feedback on the Target 2 webinar series was highly encouraging. For general feedback, the session improved understanding of the FERM data review functionalities, including how to use effectively, and clarified the explanation of the default FERM data. The session provided clarify on data parameters to collect for reporting and highlighted the existence of a platform for monitoring restoration areas. And lastly, participants also recognized that the FERM promotes accountability and exclusivity by formally recognizing restoration efforts from governments, NGOs, and local communities, reflecting a transparent, collaborative, whole society approach. And we also received several excellent suggestions. There was a request to conduct a face-to-face hands-on session on the FERM, a request for resources and guides such as copy of codes, coding, step-by-step guide in manual and PDF format, a need for clarification of the streamlined process of ecosystem restoration for research and validation, a request for a clear and simple ecosystem restoration framework that can quickly generate the required baseline for research. Next slide, please. And for the upcoming initiatives, as we look toward in applying these insights, we are pleased to share updates on our letter of agreement with the Ministry of Primary Resources and Tourism and within the Brunei Darussalam ASEAN country. The objective is to provide technical assistance and capacity development. Through this, we will co-design and implement training and knowledge sharing sessions focused on FERM. We will also focus on sharing and documentation related to ecosystems initiatives. To ensure success, we will maintain regular communication channels for planning, implementation, and evaluation of the capacity development activities. This agreement is to be signed this March, and the duration until September 30, 2026. Currently, the implementation with the technical assistance with ACB and Brunei Darussalam are finalizing virtual and in-person training sessions on FERM this coming March 28, 2026. And with that, thank you for your attention, and we encourage you to learn more about the FERM tool and the ASEAN Center for Biodiversity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kit. That was really interesting. I really liked that you collected suggestions for improvement, right? Because this is the first time the countries have done this, and I think we'll all learn a lot by supporting them and then hearing what further support they need. And thanks for the collaboration from ACB. It's been really excellent. Moving right along, so ACB was the first in this sub-regional set of workshops. And second, we moved to Colombia and the Humboldt Institute, based in Colombia. And now I'd like to invite Myra to give us a presentation on that particular workshop. Over to you, Myra.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Julian. How are you? How is everyone? It's nice to meet you all. So my name is Mayra Leon, and I'm currently working in the Subregional Technical Center hosted by the Humboldt Institute here in Colombia. Today, I'm accompanied by Paola and Erika, which are also part of the team, and with the ones we work so hard doing this incredible workshop. Next one, please. So the main results, as you can see, next one, please. As you can see in this second slide, from the photographs, everyone was very happy, but the main objective was accomplished, which was to have more than 20 countries to participate in this workshop. We work along also with the CARICOM and CCAD, which are the other two technical support centers here in the Americas. We have the participation also that more than 17 participants, representative from Argentina, Uruguay, Peru, Mexico, Cuba, were attending to this workshop. And also I would like to take the chance to remind that we as a subregional center, we have 12 countries from our side, which is all the South American countries and also Mexico and Cuba. So for this particular workshop, we have our countries, but we also have representatives from Central America. Then, of course, we have the establishment of the regional help desk. This was also a main result where we give our delegates a Google form from where they can put their inquiries, requirements for support and technical support in the reporting of the FERM, but also for the 7th national report. And then, of course, this particular workshop were very focused on the use of the FERM. As you can see, the idea was to organize national data and align with the target 2. We also examined how national systems align with global reporting requirements, and we identify adjustments needed to ensure consistency and comparability. We also did some working tables, and we have also some important results from that. So next slide, please. So one of the main results from this workshop was the regional context sharing capacity, where we found that the region has shared weak and incomplete baselines on a consistent degradation. We also found we have institutional fragmentation and governance constraints. And also we have conceptual and methodological limitation in monitoring and reporting. Next one, please. We also found that in terms of monitoring and reporting gaps, that we have key technical and operational constraints regarding limited access to high resolution and geospatial data, weak validation and quality assurance process, and capacity gaps at the subnational and local levels. Next one, please. But of course, we also found some opportunity to strengthen regional capacity regarding leveraging existing national platforms and technical experience, to use, of course, the FERM as a strategic enabler for the target to reporting, and of course, centering IPLCs and regional cooperation. Next one, please. So these ones were the main key achievements and results from the workshop. And also we have established the help desk, as I told you before, in this workshop. From November and now, from the TSC, we have create some strategies to establish this help desk, but also to know where are the main gaps and needs that the country needs regarding the FERM and also in the 7th national report. So we have bilateral meetings. These ones were conducted with each of our members countries to better understand the main challenge, lesson learned, and good practices related to the use of the FERM and also the preparation of the 7th national report. We, to this day, have held bilateral meetings with Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile, Colombia, and Peru. We also held a series of webinars that were organized in partnership with FAO, with countries participated in the Target 2 network, of course, focusing on the key aspects related to reporting on the Target 2, the use of the FERM, and the tools able for reporting the CBD. In this particular topic, we have the participation of more than 17 countries and allowed 34 participants, enable significant knowledge exchange, of course. And then we launched a regional exchange webinar. This one is a new series of webinar led by the countries. So, for example, Brazil already had their session talking about new system of reporting or how they are managed to use also the FERM. So these ones are particularly led by the countries, but are also trying to reinforce the peer-to-peer exchange knowledge. So in these terms, we have a strong national exchange and also collaboration. And then, of course, we have received requests through our help desk online request from. These requests were also articulated with the FAO and other countries. And in total, from this strategy, we have more than 10 bilateral meetings, we have more than 10 bilateral and regional meetings that have been conducted to identify the main gaps and lesson learning among the parties, and of course, from the subregional centers. Next one, please. So these are the main result that we have identified from our bilateral meetings. The main results were related to the regional gaps in monitoring restoration effectiveness, where most countries report implemented restoration projects, but few have a standardized ecological indicator or long-term monitoring system in place to assess restoration outcomes. We also have identified the lack of integrated national restoration information systems because almost all of the countries face challenges related to dispersed information, multiple reporting platforms, and of course, low interoperability between existing systems. We also identify a strong dependence on isolated initiative because restoration of efforts often take place through independent projects, for example, funded by international cooperation, and this, of course, limits a long-term continuity and landscape scale planning. We also identified the need to harmonize restoration concepts. Many actors implement action that contribute to the restoration continuum, but do not recognize them as a restoration, such as agroecology, assist national regeneration, or regenerative reproduction practices. So this, of course, leads to an underreporting of the action restoration efforts. And finally, we found the limit use of the FERM as a reporting platform in the region. We have identified from our bilateral meetings that the FERM is not yet widely used as a reporting platform, mainly we think because several countries already have national tools or information systems to register restoration initiatives or are like creating one. So these were our main results. Thank you very much, everyone. And I will leave in the chat our email, which is the one you are seeing there. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much, Mara. That was, again, really important feedback and lessons learned because, of course, we're going to do this again, right? And we need to find ways to fill those gaps and keep supporting the countries in moving forward and improving. Finally, last but not least, we're very happy to work with the Regional Centre for Mapping Resources for Development in Kenya, more recently, actually, and at the end of January. And I'd like to invite Callie to give us an overview of that workshop and subsequent actions. Over to you, Callie.
Thank you so much, Julian, Alice, and the rest. Greetings. My name is Kelly Waga from Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development. So I'll be taking us through the key outcomes of the sub-regional workshop that took place on the 27th through to 30th of January, 2026. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad. So next slide, please. So now, one of the outcomes, which was very key, is the formal operationalization of the Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development as a sub-regional technical and scientific cooperation support center. This was actually a very key milestone strength that helps in coordinating some of our technical assistance to the region, as well as harmonization of data with regards to Target 2 implementation across the ESA region, as well as other targets. Number 2 was in terms of strengthening readiness for 7th national reporting. As we are all aware, is that before that time, on the 27th, we were like some days to the deadline. It was almost a month to deadline. So this really helped participating countries to really prepare for the submission of the 7th national reports under the GBF framework. And by this, there was alignment of methodologies, reporting tools, which included FERM, as well as the CBD ORT, as well as identifying critical data gaps, clarifying indicators and restoration metrics, consolidating the national data processes ahead of the submission timelines. The next was agreement to transition from project-based to system-based monitoring. In the essence, this means that, we've been having quite a number of projects which come to an end. And when they come to an end, there's actually no continuity with regards to how information or data is shared. So countries acknowledge this. that there's limitations with regards to fragmentation. So especially with project-driven reporting approaches and committed to institutionalizing of the NBIS, that's the National Biodiversity Information Systems, and establishing centralized restoration data hubs. These are the repositories, as well as integrating donor-funded project data into national platforms. Something else is that they also agreed to promoting long-term interoperable monitoring framework so that we have, data communicating. We know where somebody left so that when you go, you don't start from scratch. Next slide, please. Then there was shift towards outcome-based restoration monitoring. With regards to, there was actually a shared understanding emerging with regards to restoration reporting, which must actually move beyond area-based metrics to focus on ecological integrity and functionality. We look at the healthy ecosystem, and then with regards to connectivity and ecosystem resilience, measurable biodiversity recovery outcomes, as well as monitoring across protected and productive landscapes. Next slide, please. So there was also enhanced use of geospatial and digital tools, as we found out that a number of participants actually don't have the skills in geospatial and digital tools, with the coming in of also the AI. So the workshop strengthened regional capacity and commitment to actually take advantage of the GIS and remote sensing technologies, as well as spatial restoration mapping and baseline analysis. And there was also the issue of cost-effective digital tools like the Trends.Earth that helps in monitoring the land, as well as Praise4. And then there was integrated climate biodiversity data systems. These actually reinforce the role of geospatial intelligence in evidence-based decision-making for our policymakers. There's also strengthened regional governance and coordination mechanisms. The participants initiated the establishment of a steering committee to guide TSE operations, ensuring that we have structured coordination. Actually, after the workshop, that was a week after the workshop, we were able to send out some of our nomination forms to several of our member states so that they would actually nominate members to this committee. And then there was also priority alignment as well as accountability mechanisms. And there was also inclusive participation, including IPLCs, as well as the youth and women. Next slide, please. So there was clear identification of capacity and financing priorities that countries identified priority support needs that included technical training in GIS, as well as data interoperability, standardized definition of degradation and restoration. This actually came up during the group discussions, and those were the breakout sessions that, we don't really have a standardized definition of degradation of land and also restoration. And then we also had sustainable financing mechanisms for monitoring systems, as well as stronger integration of biodiversity and climate finance. Next slide, please. So there was reinforced science policy practice interface in which the workshop strengthened collaboration between policymakers, as well as technical experts and practitioners to promote nature-based solutions, as well as assisted natural regeneration and integration with SDG 3.1 and the LDN framework, and applied research and innovation in restoration planning. Next slide, please. So there's elevated regional and global visibility. The workshops significantly enhanced our digital and institutional visibility. And through this, we had high-level participation and endorsement at the regional and also at the global level. And we also had strong regional collaboration, strategic communications, and knowledge products. As, we had some media streaming some of our some of our programs, as well as we shared the same through our social networks. And the icing on the cake was the story map that also went global, and we were able to, reach far and wide through the story map. Next slide, please. So in terms of anchoring regional leadership on ecosystem restoration, we are looking at our numbers. With regards to the Target 2 story map that generated over 4,800 global online views. And then we had 15 countries that participated with 11 Eastern and Southern African member states. And then we had 79 high-level participants from these different regions, as well as 5 African sub-regional technical and scientific operation support centers, including the CSC, COMIFAC, SANBI, OSS, as well as RCMRD. And the icing on the cake was the official launch of the RCMRD as a sub-regional TSC support center. So overall, the workshop transitioned Target 2 engagement from dialogue to coordinated regional action. So it's from dialogue to action. And on this, anchoring on ecosystem restoration within institutional systems, digital infrastructure, and governance framework necessary to achieve measurable impact by 2030. So we have a help desk in collaboration with the FAO to provide technical support to our member states in the implementation and reporting of ecosystem restoration efforts. So feel free to reach out to us at RCMRD at rcmrd.org. So then we also, next slide, please. We have this story map on the QR code, so you can actually interact and see what really transpired during the workshop by scanning that QR code. So thank you so much. Have a great evening and morning.
Thank
and day.
you. Thank you, Kelly and Myra and Kit. That was super interesting, particularly in terms of the different themes that came out in the different regions, right? And that I think is exactly why the CBD created the idea of the technical scientific support center at the regional level, because every region is different. We're running a little bit behind on time, but that was so interesting. I'd love to pause for 1 or 2 minutes to see if there are any pressing questions to either Kit, Myra, or Kelly, and I invite also the colleagues to please put your information, your contact information to the chat, because I'm sure we have colleagues here who would like to reach out and connect with your help desks and learn more about your initiatives. We also did a lot of, we tried to summarize in many web stories the outcomes from each regional workshop, but there's a lot more that we need to unpack, particularly how we link that capacity building effort to the reporting, right? So yeah, and I saw a question there, how many countries are using this? How many countries are using that? We really want to unpack that and understand the impact and effectiveness of this big capacity development effort. But please, I'd like to pause for a moment if there's any questions to any of the colleagues that just presented. Please raise your hand, or we can keep moving right along. Maybe that was super clear for everybody, and it was actually. They were great presentations. Okay, I don't think I can see any hands. Okay, let's keep moving right along. Thank you so much, Alicia, Kit, Myra, Kelly. I think that was really the centerpiece of this whole task force meeting, and thanks for the collaboration. Okay, now we switch over to Jo, who's going to give us a bit of an update on one of the instruments that we have to support countries on restoration monitoring, which is called the Framework for Ecosystem Restoration Monitoring. And we developed it for this purpose, really, to help countries and support these processes. So now I invite Jo to give us an update on the FERM. Over to you, Jo.
Thank you, Julian. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. The Framework for Ecosystem Restoration Monitoring, or the FERM, many of us have learned about it. It's no longer something new. So in my presentation, we will focus on the recent developments since the end of last year. So the FERM is the official monitoring platform for tracking progress for the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. And it also supports countries in reporting areas under restoration. And it is composed of a registry of restoration initiatives and their good practices. It offers a geospatial tool to visualize restoration data. It has a search engine where you can consult and visualize good practices on ecosystem restoration and restoration initiatives. And finally, the most recent development is what we call a data review functionality that is designed for the national focal points to review the data compiled by the FERM through interoperability framework and to use the data in reporting. Next slide. We have the FERM link on the screen. So the first update from on the FERM registry is we launched an API, a programming application programming interface to facilitate data entry into the FERM registry. So the registry is restoration initiative database, and we have been presenting it and offering workshops and trainings on how to use the user interface. Recently, we've developed this API to make it easier for countries and for users to upload many initiatives because it's a more efficient way and it complements the registry user interface. So it will by using what is an API? So the API is there is a restaurant analogy here. So when someone goes to when a customer goes to a restaurant, he does not directly go to the kitchen to order food, but instead he will pass through a waiter that carries his order to the kitchen and then brings back the food. So in this way, it facilitates the exchange of requests and receiving response from the firm in this case, and it will reduce errors from manual data entry, and it can simultaneously maintain traceability. And we had a webinar on this. The API tool is for a specific group of users like database managers, GIS specialists, backend engineers, and IT teams responsible for the national restoration databases or monitoring systems. And it works the best when you have a large number of data and you have the capacity to prepare your restoration initiative data in the correct JSON format. And it obviously also requires understanding of the FERM registry and restoration data. So we had a webinar in the beginning of February in both English and Spanish. And here we have some links to the API documentation and sample files that you can test it. Again, this is for specific users that have more technical background. So I invite those who are interested to try it and to learn to find the recordings of the webinar to learn more about this. Next slide, please. And the FERM geospatial platform. So here on the top right corner, you can find the link. It has a new interface and it has a new grouping of layers for visualization and analyzing restoration data. The next step would it's part of the open. It's linked to the Open Forest suite, and the next step we plan to link to integrate with another tool developed by FAO, the CEPAL tool for country tailored analysis. And we will have, once we are ready to launch this, we will have more information and trainings. Next slide, please. And the FERM search engine, again, you can find the link to the FERM search engine. It's a result of interoperability because we collaborate with many other platforms and databases that are collecting restoration data. And the most recent integration is restoration projects of the Axial Andina flagship initiative. So the FERM, the Axial Andina initiative is a big, large, multi-country initiative in Latin America, and it has its monitoring platform. And now through the integration, these individual initiatives are available in the FERM search engine that you can consult. You can select from the source. Just selecting Axial Andina, you can have an overview of all the individual projects and with detailed information. Can we go back, please? Yeah, and the next step, we are planning to also integrate some Ramsar sites that are under restoration, the wetlands, Ramsar wetland site, from the Ramsar Site Information Service. And we plan to also integrate the ASEAN Heritage Parks data. Thank you. Next slide. And the next few slides are related to the FERM data review. So FERM has been compiling data through an interoperability framework. So we review available data, existing data, and we try to analyze which data are on restoration, and we bring it to a default data set that shows the amount of restoration across all ecosystems in each country and by source, and clearly noting which sources are official and which are not. Some are officially reported. These data, they come from very different platforms and formats. Some are more aligned to the target 2 reporting parameters, some are not. Therefore, we make it available in the FERM and created this FERM data review functionality for the national focal points to visualize these available data and to think how it complements the national monitoring system and how to make use of it in reporting. And the next step would be we plan to collaborate with the centers, the subregional centers, to support countries in using the tool and generate case studies. Next slide, please. Yeah, and the FERM data review functionality has been launched and is available in the FERM online. It is not open to anyone. It's for a specific group of users that are CBD focal points or the team that is preparing the reporting on target 2. And when the interface looks like this, so you will have 4 tabs, a default data tab showing the restoration initiatives and projects by source, accompanied by a map view, and there are links to view more detail, to view the details. It has a Add National Data tab that so that the focal point can optionally add initiatives from their national databases, and now we have also the API. So there are multiple ways of adding national data now. And then in the review tab, the focal points will visualize the data in a in a table format and confirm or edit the values, add or remove a disaggregation, and finally an aggregated data tab that shows the aggregated country level data at the end of the review. So here we can see that. Sorry, can we go back? It's a table that is designed following closely the target 2 headline indicator reporting template, and it shows the available disaggregation using the global, for example, for disaggregation by ecosystem, it offers the option to disaggregate by the IUCN Global Ecosystem Typology Level 2 biome. So it uses the same language, and the data after the review, the options are to click the update aggregated data button so that the data is an acknowledge of that you have completed the review, and the data will be accessible from the CBD Online Reporting Tool through an API. And it has there's another button, download, so you can also download your work in a Excel format. Next slide, please. Yeah, and in this slide, you can see the several options, several reporting options once you are in the ORT CBD Online Reporting Tool. So when you go to the Target 2 indicator 2.1 area under restoration, there are 4 options for the source of data. And so if you have already reviewed the default data in the FERM, you can select use national dataset and then upload the result from the FERM review. Or you can select use the available data. So the second option on the left in the red box, and the API will fetch the data from the FERM data review with a note on when the data was reviewed. So the data can still be registered as national data. And a second scenario is if you have not reviewed the data in the FERM, you can use the available data, the second option, to visualize. Then the table will pop up to show what data is available from the FERM, and you can accept it as available data or still modify it. Download a copy, review, modify, and upload it as national data. And in some cases, the API will not return data. So you can, if this is the case, you can select no data available. So these are this is the linkage between the FERM and the ORT, because the reporting will be done in the CBD Online Reporting Tool, not directly in the FERM. Thank you. Next slide, please. And we have here are some support emails that you can find. You can connect to. We have the restoration monitoring team and email to provide FERM specific support, and we have the CBD or online reporting tool support team and all the help desk from the centers. And some recently developed resources include the webinar recordings and the FERM user guide that we're constantly updating. And finally, keep tuned and follow our mailing list. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joel. Yeah, so it's really a big effort to try and reduce that reporting burden for countries, right? Because as we've seen in the chat, restoration is happening at many different scales, from the local scale to the regional to the national, right? And we're really trying to, over several years, initially for the UN decade, trying to compile that data and information into one interoperable space, which was the analogy of the FERM, and now trying to help countries have some default data, right? Because for many countries, some countries have a lot of data themselves and are organized and can report, but other countries with returns to restoration are sort of probably either don't know there's a lot of restoration going on in their boundaries, and we're trying to help them understand what's going on in the background and try and reduce that reporting burden. So we're running a little bit late on time, so maybe I will. Thanks so much, Joel. That was great. Now I'll pass to Ashley for an update on our Freshwater Working Group, which is one of the working groups and I've also seen some great questions on specific ecosystems. So we're really trying to advance because the target covers all ecosystems, so it's super challenging, but some ecosystems need further work. And I think Ashley will give us an example of how we're trying to bridge that gap for freshwater ecosystems. So over to you, Ashley.
Thanks, Julian. And yes, I'm happy. I think I have the first slide. Someone can change it over. Yeah, perfect. So I want to talk a little bit about our expert working group on freshwater inland waters restoration. And I, as many of you know, insist on saying that whole thing, freshwater inland waters, because different groups or disciplines tend to see the word freshwater or the word inland waters and understand immediately what's being discussed. But in fact, there's 99% overlap between these two terms. So we're really trying to support restoration reporting and restoration monitoring across all of these freshwater inland waters ecosystems. And next slide. I just really have 3 or 4 slides, depending on how you count, a past, present, and future, just to tell you a little bit about what our working group is doing. So we have already produced this reporting guidance, and the focus of this was on estimating the area under restoration. Because for freshwater inland water ecosystems, there's a watershed context, and the exact area under restoration may not be the exact area where people are doing things on the ground. It actually can be a much wider influence. So we've created some guidance there. And we took the opportunity in that report also to what I call open the door to monitoring, because we know we're going to have to monitor, and we wanted to sort of put an eye to all the different data sets, mostly remotely sensed and compositional data that are available for monitoring these freshwater inland water ecosystems. And we also have a capacity building that looks at how forest, freshwater, and fisheries are all interrelated. So I guess resilient rivers is a part of freshwater inland water ecosystems. It's not the lakes yet, but we have this for rivers, and it involves some ideas for very low impact monitoring and how to bring all these things together. And we are in the process of translating this into French. The 2 QR codes are English and Spanish, and hopefully we'll have a 3rd QR code soon. Next slide. So in our first report, we realized 2 things are missing. One is we identified some challenges, and we needed to get the guidance out before we could solve all the challenges. Of course, in the second report, we're going to work on won't solve all the challenges either, but we're tackling them as we can go. And we wanted to address what I call the whole restoration cycle. So how we look at the same information or data when we're prioritizing across a watershed where restoration is going to happen. That same basic information is used for reporting, for monitoring, and then for assessing how well it's done. And that assessment helps us prioritize. So we wanted to address this whole cycle and make it a more complete tool. You'll see that grayed out. These are some terms from Society for Ecological Restoration and from the guidance, the toolkit for Target 2, but we've grayed out planning and design and implementation. So our expert working group is not attempting to make any recommendations for how you plan, design, or implement restoration globally. We're simply talking about principles and guidance for how we use information across the whole cycle. We have 2 parts to the next report. The first are a set of actionable foundations. These are things I think we all agree on, but it's very useful to state them out loud. Maintaining watershed perspective, encouraging and facilitating knowledge sharing. It's the kind of things the FERM is doing, we're just talking about. And reporting on all forms of restoration with the same method. So I assume this is true in other ecosystems, but I can only really speak for freshwater inland water ecosystems. But we have things that are restoration that are really actively changing the environment, going in and putting in a bulldozer and building a floodplain. There's also kinds of restoration which are, for example, a legislation that prevents livestock from going into the stream. So actually nothing's happening on the ground specifically like a shovel, but there is restoration happening. And also inland fisheries management can be a form of restoration. So we've been working on how dam management also, for example, another form of downstream restoration. So we're working on how we can link all of these kinds of restoration actions into one cohesive framework. And then we're talking about monitoring. Can I have the next slide? So one of the most I think, hardest part of this report that we're spending the most meetings on is how we can identify a set of core indicators. So across biological, physical, chemical, and social domains, a combination of remotely sensed, community-based, in situ, I think I mean something more scientific that requires some actual, for example, tools or equipment. And we're imagining 6 to 9 core indicators. So these would be insufficient to measure any one project. They're not enough. But we just encourage everyone, when they create their panel of restoration monitoring, that they select these same indicators. So the human health analogy would be like body temperature and weight. They're insufficient to tell you how healthy you are, but we all measure them and we can compare things. So we're working on this. It's obviously both impossible and contentious and needed. So I hope that this will be a contribution. We have a lot of buy-in from our partners, people like Freshwater Challenge, lots of the different groups. We've been working with Ramsar. I think I'm missing a big one. But we're working across agencies, so we all can encourage the same set of hopefully fairly simple core indicators, so information can be compiled at the national level, at the global level, at the regional level, across projects. And then the second part of our, it's okay. The second part of our report, this From Information to Action, Supporting the Freshwater Inland Waters Restoration Cycle, are a set of case studies. And we'll look at how these actionable foundations have been implemented successfully. Now, I wanted to mention this in specific in case you have a suggestion for case studies in freshwater inland water ecosystems. And also something we're looking at with the indicators is something I will call indicators gone wrong, where people or groups have chosen an indicator and the choice of that indicator has, for example, misdirected the actions because people are trying to make that indicator successful without making what's happening on the ground or in the water successful. And those kind of examples, I think we can learn a lot from. I mean, they're everywhere, they happen. And if anyone has those kinds of examples, I would love to hear from people, ways we can learn from what's been done in the past. So the last slide, thanks. I'm just looking ahead to the future. We don't imagine a third report at this point. In the future, we imagine a program of capacity building and country support. We'll have this e-learning. We'll have 2 guidance documents. We'll also have a flows tool, which looks at how to identify monitoring indicators for any particular project, the full suite of monitoring indicators. This is a pre-existing FAO tool that we would be able to provide capacity building on. And then coordination support, so integration with FERM, having our expert working group enable FERM to be more and more freshwater inland waters friendly, working with the Society for Ecological Restoration and their 5-star system so that they also have an integrated freshwater inland waters 5-star assessment system that uses the same basic core indicators that we're promoting. That was the one I was missing in the last slide, also working with SER. And we keep the coordination across ecosystems, the work being done in the marine group, the work being done in the terrestrial group, and across various reporting frameworks, for example, Target 3 and other international agreements. So that's our vision for the future right now. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Ashley. That was really great. Okay, we have one more presentation. Alicia has promised to keep it brief, but it's a really important and interesting one. So over to you, Alicia.
All right. Hi. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. So yeah, I will be super quick also because our colleagues who are actually leading on this are not here today. So, but yeah, I'll do my best to provide just a quick overview in terms of the overall structure of the working group on Indigenous peoples restoration monitoring. We will have colleagues from FAO, including from the Indigenous peoples unit. And also other Indigenous peoples representatives, including also colleagues from the Global Hub. And yeah, in terms of the activities, so at the global level, we will we are planning to have a stock taking of Indigenous-led monitoring initiatives, and these are also linked to the work of the best practices of the UN decade, to really map out and see where the gaps are. And the second one is more on the research in terms of briefings and manuals on Indigenous peoples restoration monitoring. And there is one brochure that we just started. We are developing, which looks at the role of Indigenous peoples in restoration monitoring, and really showing, the importance of including their knowledge for successful planning and successful implementation of restoration actions. And then more at the national level, we will do national and local level. There will be work in terms of mapping and geospatial analysis, so working with other data platforms, including the FERM and the International Land Coalition will be involved in this. And then there will be also work to basically look at the links between the KM-GBF 2 and 22, with specific reference to the to some of the countries we are already working with, including Peru, Kenya, and the Philippines. And then there is also a plan to have a regional exchange event on this topic. So I think and then in the next meeting we can provide you a more detailed overview and on the progress. And I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alicia. So there's been a lot of information shared, and but I've seen a lot of activity in the chat, which is really great. And I think there'll be a number of bilateral discussions following on around data sharing, interoperability between different platforms. I think our view has always been the more data that's shared, the better. So really trying to help countries understand restoration at different scales and different platforms, and trying to link platforms together and be able to share data. So we're trying our best, and we're happy to support you in your efforts to do that as well. So maybe now's a moment to open the floor. So colleagues, you've heard a lot, and we'd love to hear your reactions, questions, ideas for what more we need to do. We had some great updates from the regional centres. We've done a lot of capacity development through these regional workshops, and then follow-up webinars and help desks. At the moment, we're analysing all the 7th national reports to understand status of the data, the gaps in the data, what more we need to do to help countries tackle restoration monitoring. But let's please raise your hand and react, give us questions, feedback, and or I can give you a few minutes back in your day if there are no questions. I'm happy to do that. But I see no hands. But please, other FAO colleagues, keep an eye out if there are any hands going up. But otherwise, I might be able. Oh, please, Maggiore, and I think you're from FAO. But please, over to you to ask a question. Oh, I see if some hands coming up. This is great. Please.
Oh, perfect, Julian. Thank you so much for the time. Yeah, I'm from FAO. I'm from the forest and climate team. I just wanted to let you know and inform also from our side. Also from our side, we've been working on mapping project, restoration project with adaptation outputs or outcomes. And so this is our stream under the UNDC challenge, the UNDC climate challenge. From the that we have started mapping the ODGF portfolio of the FAO that have restoration with adaptation objectives. So this is potentially a new area for development and explore all the adaptation outputs when we restore ecosystems, and we are happy to contribute and to continue engage on this on the UN decade. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Marjorie. You were breaking up a bit, but I think you're making the case for linking adaptation, right, and to restoration. So no, that's really important, and I know it's been discussed a lot in the context of the UNFCCC. So thanks for bringing that up. And Jennifer, please, over to you.
Thanks so much. I'm new to this, so this is my first webinar I was able to join. I'm with Trees for the Future, and I just wanted to put a plug in. Maybe these were done last year before I joined, but to have a session for the partners who are doing this restoration work on the FERM, and then how that data is being used by the countries. I think it would really be helpful to have a partner focused webinar. So just to put a plug in for that. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Jennifer. And we've been talking with we are part of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, but we've been talking through that partner network for the UN Decade on how we can support partners to upload their data, maybe through an API, right? So rather than walking to the kitchen and asking for a spaghetti bolognese, you can put all your restoration data through an API. So yeah, definitely. And please reach out to Yelena and Joe, and they'd be happy to have a bilateral with you and to discuss how to integrate it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, reach out to who?
Yelena and Joe. Sorry, I think they've
Okay.
been putting their emails in the chat. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Excellent. No, thanks for your interest and your question. Okay, any other questions, or we can wrap up. And thanks everybody. We're still at over 50, so that's amazing for an hour and a half. Yeah, thanks colleagues. It's been a really busy, I think, couple of months, and we see really exciting progress in the 7th national reports, and really great. Thanking you all for the collaboration and teamwork across regional centres, across UN Decade partners, across Target 2 roadmap partners, and we're really trying to support countries and everybody and having a really good handle on where restoration is going, right? The direction of travel, and all the reports that are coming in and we've been talking about will form the basis of some really important global stock takes this year. So for CBD COP17, we are planning to do a big restoration progress report, really compiling all the available data from the CBD, from FERM, from any other sources we can get our hands on to give us a snapshot of the progress, because it's a really important year because it's exactly the midpoint of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. So we want to understand the direction of travel, how we're doing, and how we're going toward meeting that very ambitious target 2, which is to restore the 30% of degraded ecosystems by 2030. So invite you to collaborate. Please reach out to the team. We really count on everybody's support and collaboration. And yeah, exciting 2026 ahead. We'll be working on many, as I said, many big reports, and we'd love to have your inputs and contributions to make it a big year at the midpoint of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. So yeah, I think and Temi, thanks so much. You're very active in the chat, which is great. And all the material and the summary from this meeting will be shared, because many colleagues cannot join. And but thank you for joining. And everybody, we can bring everybody together on this restoration journey, which we started 5 years ago. And some of you have been here for 5 years, and some of you are new, like Katie. So welcome. And thanks, everybody. In fact, I ended up filling up the space to exactly 4:30 Rome time. And we can sign off. So thanks so much, colleagues. Stay in touch, and look forward to seeing you all in the next task force meeting. Thanks, and bye.
Thanks,
Have a great
everyone.
day.
Thanks, Julian.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.